Tonight, as the world outside your window grows quiet and the weight of the day finally begins to lift from your shoulders, I want you to know that you're not entering this night alone. There is a presence here with you, closer than the air you breathe, more constant than your own heartbeat, more faithful than the rising of the sun. Before you close your eyes, before you surrender to the vulnerability of sleep, before you release your grip on the control you've been holding so tightly, I want to speak words of truth over you, words that will settle into the deepest places of your heart and remind you of who is watching over you in these quiet hours. This is not a night like any other night. This is a night where fear loses its voice, where anxiety releases its grip, where the terrors that have haunted your darkness are silenced by the overwhelming presence of the one who commands even the shadows to bow. You have fought hard today. You have carried burdens that no one else could see. You have smiled through pain, pushed through exhaustion, and held yourself together when everything inside you wanted to fall apart. But here, in this sacred moment between waking and sleeping, you don't have to be strong anymore. You don't have to hold it all together. You don't have to pretend that you're not afraid, because the God who holds the universe in his hands is holding you right now, and he is more than strong enough to carry what you cannot. I want you to take a slow, deep breath right now. Fill your lungs completely, hold it for just a moment, and then release it slowly. You're letting go of everything you've been carrying. As you breathe out, imagine every worry, every fear, every anxious thought leaving your body and dissolving into the atmosphere around you. You are safe here. You are protected here. You are loved here. And in this moment, nothing and no one can touch you except the gentle, loving hands of your Heavenly Father, who is wrapping you in his presence like a warm blanket on the coldest night. The darkness that surrounds you is not your enemy tonight. It is simply the canvas upon which God is about to paint his most beautiful mercies, the backdrop against which his faithfulness will shine most brilliantly. You see, it is in the darkest nights that the stars become most visible, and it is in your moments of deepest fear that God's protective presence becomes most tangible. He has not brought you to this moment to abandon you. He has brought you here to show you that even in the hours when you feel most vulnerable, most exposed, most afraid, you are actually at your safest because you are completely dependent on him, and his strength is made perfect in your weakness. Father, I come before you now on behalf of every soul who is listening to these words, every heart that is heavy with fear, every mind that is racing with anxious thoughts, every spirit that is weary from fighting battles that seem to have no end. I ask that you would meet them right where they are, in their beds, in their rooms, in their homes, wherever they have retreated to find rest tonight. Some of them are afraid of the darkness itself, afraid of what might be lurking in the shadows, afraid of the vulnerability that comes with closing their eyes and surrendering to sleep. Some of them are afraid of their own thoughts, the memories that haunt them when the distractions of the day fall away, the regrets that whisper accusations in the quiet, the failures that parade themselves across their minds when there is nothing else to focus on. Some of them are afraid of tomorrow, of what it might bring, of whether they will have the strength to face it, of whether they will survive the challenges that are coming. And some of them don't even know exactly what they're afraid of. They just feel a general sense of unease, a gnawing anxiety that won't let them rest, a persistent worry that something is wrong or something bad is about to happen. But Lord, regardless of what they fear, regardless of where that fear comes from, I declare over them right now that you're greater than every fear, that your presence dispels every shadow, that your love casts out all terror, and that in you they can find a rest so deep and a peace so complete that nothing in this world or the next can disturb it. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? These are not just beautiful words written in ancient times by a shepherd boy who would become king. These are living declarations that carry the same power today that they carried 3,000 years ago. When David wrote these words, he was intimately acquainted with fear. He knew what it was like to run for his life, to hide in caves, to be hunted by enemies who wanted him dead, to face giants that towered over him, to be betrayed by those he trusted, to feel alone and abandoned in his darkest moments. But even in the midst of all that, even when every circumstance around him screamed that he should be terrified, he made a declaration that changed everything. The Lord is my light, not a light, not one light among many, but my light, my personal illumination, my individual source of clarity and direction and hope. In every dark place David found himself, God was the light that showed him the way out. In every moment of confusion, God was the light that brought understanding. In every season of despair, God was the light that revealed hope where there seemed to be none. And that same God who was David's light is your light tonight. He is illuminating your path even when you can't see where you're going. He is shining into your darkness even when it feels overwhelming. He is bringing clarity to your confusion even when everything seems hopelessly tangled. You're not stumbling in the dark. You're walking in the light of His presence. And that light is more than enough to guide you safely through this night and into tomorrow. The Lord is my salvation. These 4 words contain the answer to every threat, every danger, every attack, every scheme that has ever been or ever will be launched against you. Salvation is not just a theological concept about going to heaven when you die. Salvation is God's delivering power at work in your life, right now, today, tonight, in this very moment. It is His intervention on your behalf, His rescue when you're in danger, His protection when you're under attack, His deliverance when you're in bondage, His healing when you're broken, His provision when you're in need. When the enemy comes at you like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord raises up a standard against him, and that standard is the salvation of the Lord. When circumstances threaten to overwhelm you, when problems pile up higher than you can manage, when the weight of life feels like it's going to crush you, the Lord is your salvation. He saves you from your enemies, from your fears, from your own weaknesses, from the consequences of your mistakes, from the attacks of the evil one, from everything that threatens to destroy you. And if He is your salvation, if the God of the universe Himself is committed to saving you, then whom shall you fear? What enemy is powerful enough to overcome the one who overcame death itself? What threat is serious enough to worry about when you're protected by the one who commands legions of angels? What danger is real enough to steal your sleep when you're covered by the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps, and who is watching over you with eyes that never close? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Strength is not something you have to manufacture on your own, not something you have to dig deep within yourself to find, not something that depends on how you're feeling or how much rest you got, or how many good things happened to you today. The Lord Himself is your strength. His infinite power, His unlimited resources, His inexhaustible energy, all of it is available to you, flowing into you, sustaining you, empowering you to do things you could never do in your own strength. When you are weak, He is strong. When you are tired, He is your energy. When you are overwhelmed, He is your capacity. When you are afraid, He is your courage. You don't have to be afraid of your own limitations because His strength has no limitations. You don't have to worry about running out of what you need because His resources never run dry. You don't have to fear that you won't be able to handle what's coming because He is able to handle anything and everything, and He has committed Himself to being your strength for as long as you live. Of whom shall you be afraid? The answer is no one. Nothing. Not the darkness of night, not the fears in your mind, not the enemies that threaten you, not the challenges that await you, not the uncertainty of the future, not even death itself. None of these things have power over you because the Lord is the strength of your life, and that strength cannot be overcome, cannot be depleted, cannot be defeated. When the wicked came against me to eat up my flesh, my enemies and foes, they stumbled and fell. This is the testimony of every person who has ever put their trust in God. The enemies come, the attacks are real, The threats are genuine, but those who seek to destroy the children of God do not succeed. They stumble, they fall, their plans backfire, their schemes unravel, their weapons malfunction, their attacks miss their target. Not because you're so clever or so strong or so capable of defending yourself, but because you're covered by a God who fights for you, who stands between you and everything that means you harm, who causes your enemies to stumble over their own plots and fall into the very pits they dug for you. Every attack that has ever been launched against you and failed, every scheme that should have destroyed you but didn't, every moment when you should have been overcome but somehow made it through, these are not coincidences or luck or your own resilience. These are testimonies to the faithfulness of a God who protects his own, who fights battles on your behalf that you don't even know are being fought, who dispatches angels to guard you in ways you cannot see, who turns the weapons of your enemies back upon themselves. And the God who has protected you up until this very moment is the same God who will protect you through this night and every night to come. Though an army may encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. This is not denial. This is not pretending that threats don't exist or that dangers aren't real. David acknowledges the possibility, even the likelihood, that armies will come against him. He doesn't say, if an army comes, he says, though an army may encamp. He recognizes that opposition is part of life, that there will be forces arrayed against him, that he will face situations that would terrify most people. But even in the face of overwhelming odds, even when outnumbered and outmatched, even when surrounded by enemies on every side, his heart does not fear. Not because the threat isn't real, but because the God who protects him is more real, more powerful, more present than any army could ever be. You may feel tonight like you're surrounded, like enemies are camped all around you, like threats are pressing in from every direction. The enemy of your soul may be whispering that you are outnumbered, overwhelmed, outmatched. But I declare over you tonight that no matter what is arrayed against you, no matter how many enemies surround you, no matter how impossible your situation looks, your heart does not have to fear. The battle is not yours but the Lord's. The outcome is not in question. The victory is already secured. You are not fighting for victory. You are resting in the victory that has already been won on your behalf. Though war may rise against me, in this I will be confident. War is more than a single battle. War is sustained conflict, prolonged struggle, ongoing attack. There may be seasons in your life that feel like war, where it seems like you're fighting one battle after another, where there is no rest between attacks, where you barely recover from one assault before another one comes. But even in the midst of war, even in the longest and hardest seasons of struggle, even when the battle has been raging so long that you're exhausted and can't remember what peace feels like, you can be confident. Not confident in your own ability to win, not confident in your own strength to endure, but confident in the one who fights for you, who never loses a battle, who has already declared the end from the beginning and promised that those who trust in him will be more than conquerors. Your confidence is not in your circumstances, not in how you feel, not in whether things are going well, but in the unchanging character of a God who has never failed anyone who put their trust in him, and who is not about to start with you. One thing I have desired of the Lord, that will I seek. In the midst of all the chaos, all the fear, all the uncertainty, all the battles and struggles and threats, there is one thing that matters more than anything else. Not safety, though God provides that. Not victory, though God guarantees that. Not even peace, though God gives that in abundance. The one thing that David desired above all else was simply to be in God's presence, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. This is the secret that transformed David from a fearful fugitive into a fearless warrior, from a shepherd boy into a king, from someone who had every reason to be terrified into someone who could face giants and armies and impossible odds without flinching. He discovered that the presence of God was more valuable than anything else, that being close to God was more important than being safe or comfortable or successful, that experiencing God's beauty and seeking His wisdom was the foundation for everything else in life. When you make God Himself your greatest desire, when you seek His presence above all else, when you prioritize intimacy with Him over every other pursuit, something shifts in your spirit. The fears that once dominated you begin to lose their power. The threats that once terrified you begin to seem smaller. The problems that once overwhelmed you begin to look manageable. Not because they have actually changed, but because your perspective has changed. You are seeing everything from the vantage point of God's presence, and from that place, everything looks different. To dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. This is not about a physical building or a geographical location. The house of the Lord is His presence, and to dwell there means to make His presence your permanent residence, your constant reality, your habitual home. Not just visiting God occasionally, when you need something or when you're in trouble, but actually living in continuous communion with Him, maintaining an ongoing awareness of His nearness, cultivating a lifestyle of abiding in Him. This is what it means to dwell in the secret place of the Most High, to make God your home, your refuge, your dwelling place. And when you live in His presence, when you abide in Him continually, all the days of your life, then all the promises of protection and provision and peace become your daily experience. The terrors of the night cannot reach you there. The arrows of the enemy cannot penetrate that sanctuary. The storms of life cannot shake that foundation. You are home, truly home, in the safest place in the universe, which is the presence of the living God, to behold the beauty of the Lord. Most people have never considered that God is beautiful, that there is an aesthetic dimension to His character, that beholding Him is not just spiritually edifying, but actually, visually, emotionally, experientially breathtaking. But those who have encountered God in deep places, who have pressed past the surface level of religious routine into genuine intimacy with Him, they know what David is talking about. There is a beauty to God that cannot be described in human language, a glory that makes everything else seem dull by comparison, a majesty that leaves you speechless and undone. To behold His beauty is to be so captivated by who He is that everything else fades into insignificance. Your fears seem small when you behold His power. Your worries seem foolish when you behold His faithfulness. Your anxieties seem unnecessary when you behold His control over all things. The beauty of the Lord is not just something pleasant to look at, it is transformative. The more you behold Him, the more you become like Him. The more you gaze upon His beauty, the more His peace settles into your soul. The more you fix your eyes on Him, the less power everything else has to disturb you. And to inquire in His temple. This is about seeking God's wisdom, asking His counsel, bringing your questions to Him, waiting on His guidance. The temple is the place where God's presence dwells. And to inquire, there is to seek answers not from human wisdom or earthly understanding, but from the infinite knowledge of the One who knows all things, sees all things, and understands all things. When you don't know what to do, when you're confused about which way to go, when you're uncertain about the future, when you need wisdom beyond your own capacity, you come to His temple, you enter His presence, and you inquire of Him. And He promises to give wisdom generously to all who ask without finding fault. He will show you what you need to know. He will guide you in the way you should go. He will give you understanding that surpasses human reasoning. But you have to inquire. You have to ask, you have to seek, you have to knock. And when you do, and when you come into His presence with your questions and your uncertainties and your need for direction, He answers. Maybe not always in the way you expect, maybe not always on your timeline, but He answers. And His answers are always better than anything you could have figured out on your own. For in the time of trouble, He shall hide me in His pavilion. Notice that this doesn't say He will keep you from ever experiencing trouble. It says in the time of trouble, acknowledging that trouble will come, that there will be difficult seasons, that you will face moments of crisis and danger. But the promise is that when trouble comes, you won't face it alone or unprotected. He will hide you, not just protect you, but hide you, concealing you from the enemy, keeping you out of sight of those who seek to harm you, placing you in a secret location where you cannot be found or touched or reached by anything that means you harm. His pavilion is like a royal tent, a place of honor and safety reserved for those who are close to the king. When you're hidden in his pavilion, you're not just safe, you are honored. You're not just protected, you are treasured. You're not just out of danger, you are in the most privileged position possible, close to the heart of the King of Kings, covered by his presence, surrounded by his glory. The trouble may still be raging outside, the storm may still be fierce, the enemies may still be searching, but they cannot find you because you are hidden in him, and what God hides, no enemy can uncover. In the secret place of his tabernacle, he shall hide me. The tabernacle was the dwelling place of God among his people, the place where his glory resided, the place where heaven and earth met. The secret place within the tabernacle was the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber where God's presence was most concentrated, where only the high priest could enter, and only once a year. But through Jesus Christ, the veil has been torn and you now have access to that secret place. You can enter the Holy of Holies at any time, not just once a year. You can come into the very presence of God, into the most sacred, most protected, most glorious place in existence. And there, in that secret place, he hides you. Not in some outer court where you might still be vulnerable, not in some halfway location where you have partial protection, but in the innermost chamber, in the center of his presence, in the safest spot in all of reality. When you are hidden there, absolutely nothing can touch you that God doesn't allow. Absolutely nothing can harm you that doesn't first have to get his permission. And he is so protective of his own, so jealous over those who belong to him, so committed to their safety that very little ever gets past his watchful care. He shall set me high upon a rock. A rock is a symbol of stability, security, something solid and unmovable. When you are set upon a rock, you are not on shifting sand that gives way beneath you, not on shaky ground that might collapse at any moment, but on something firm and permanent and trustworthy. And not just any rock, but a high rock, elevated above the dangers below, lifted up out of reach of the floods and the enemies and the threats. When God sets you high upon a rock, he is giving you a vantage point. You can see what's coming. You can survey the battlefield. You can have perspective on your situation. And most importantly, you are above it all. Not in the sense of being better than anyone else, but in the sense of being lifted above the chaos, above the confusion, above the fear and panic and turmoil. From that elevated position, you can see that God is in control, that he has everything under his command, that the situation that looked so overwhelming from ground level actually looks manageable from this higher perspective. And you are secure there, standing on solid ground, unmovable, unshakable, grounded on the rock that is Christ Jesus himself. And now my head shall be lifted up above my enemies all around me. This is not arrogance. This is not pride. This is the natural result of being hidden in God's presence and set upon his rock. When God lifts your head, when he elevates you, when he sets you on high, the automatic consequence is that you're lifted above your enemies. They may still be all around you. They may still be threatening. They may still be scheming, but they are beneath you now. Not in terms of your worth being greater than theirs, but in terms of their attacks being unable to reach you because you're positioned higher than they can strike. They aimed their weapons at you, but you're out of range. They dug their pits for you, but you're walking on a higher plane. They set their traps for you, but you are above where those traps were laid. This is what it means to be more than a conqueror. To not just barely survive the battle, but to be positioned so strategically by God that victory is inevitable and defeat is impossible. Therefore I will offer sacrifices of joy in his tabernacle. The natural response to being protected, hidden, elevated, and delivered is not fear but joy, not anxiety but celebration, not worry but worship. When you truly understand how completely God has covered you, how thoroughly he has protected you, how strategically he has positioned you, how faithfully he has watched over you, the only appropriate response is to offer him sacrifices of joy. These are not sacrifices of obligation or duty, not religious routines performed out of guilt or habit, but joyful offerings born from a heart that is overwhelmed with gratitude, amazed by his goodness, and bursting with praise for who he is and what he has done. Even in the midst of trouble, even when enemies surround you, even when circumstances are difficult, you can still offer joy, because your joy is not based on your circumstances, but on the unchanging character of the God who is with you. And when you choose to offer sacrifices of joy in the midst of trouble, something powerful happens. The act of worship shifts your focus from your problems to your provider, from your fears to your Father, from what's wrong to who's right, from the battle to the one who has already won the war. I will sing, yes, I will sing praises to the Lord. Singing is one of the most powerful weapons in spiritual warfare. When you sing praises to God, you are not just making pleasant sounds. You are making declarations of truth. You are speaking to your own soul and commanding it to remember who God is. You are proclaiming to the enemy that he has already lost. You're inviting God's presence to manifest more powerfully because he inhabits the praises of his people. David understood this. He knew that when he sang praises to God, things shifted in the spiritual realm. Strongholds were broken, demons fled, fear dissipated, hope rose, peace settled, strength returned. So even when he was afraid, especially when he was afraid, he would sing. He would lift his voice and declare the goodness of God, the faithfulness of God, the power of God, the promises of God. And as he sang, his own heart would be encouraged, his own faith would be strengthened, his own spirit would be lifted, and the atmosphere around him would change. You may not feel like singing right now. Your heart may be too heavy, your spirit too weary, your fear too great. But I want to encourage you to sing anyway. Even if it's just a whisper, even if it's just a few words, even if your voice cracks and tears fall, sing praises to the Lord. Tell him he is good, even when life is hard. Tell him he is faithful, even when you're afraid. Tell him he is powerful, even when you feel weak. Because as you sing, as you worship, as you praise, something will begin to shift. The fear will start to lose its grip. The anxiety will begin to quiet. The peace will start to settle. And you will remember that the God you are singing to is bigger than anything you are facing. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. God hears you. Every word you speak, every prayer you whisper, every cry that comes from the depths of your heart, he hears it all. You're not praying to a deaf God, or an indifferent God, or a God who is too busy with more important matters to pay attention to you. He hears you. When you cry out to him in the middle of the night, when fear has you in its grip and you can barely form words, he hears. When you pour out your complaints and frustrations and disappointments, when you're brutally honest about how you really feel, he hears. When you beg for help, when you plead for deliverance, when you ask for mercy, he hears. Your voice matters to him. Your words reach his ears. Your prayers move his heart. Never think that you're bothering him, or that your problems are too small for his attention, or that he has more important things to deal with. You are his child, and when his children cry, he hears and he responds. Have mercy on me and answer me. And this is the prayer of someone who knows they don't deserve what they're asking for, but dares to ask anyway, because they know the character of the God they're asking. Mercy is getting what you don't deserve, favor you haven't earned, grace that is freely given, not based on your merit, but on God's goodness. When you cry out for mercy, you are not claiming to be worthy. You are not asserting that you have a right to his intervention. You are simply throwing yourself on his compassion, trusting that He is merciful by nature and that He delights in showing mercy to those who call upon Him. And the beautiful thing is, He doesn't just hear your cry for mercy and feel sorry for you while leaving you in your distress. He answers, He acts, He intervenes, He moves on your behalf. His mercy is not passive sympathy, it is active intervention. When He has mercy on you, things change, situations shift, doors open, provision comes, healing happens, deliverance arrives. He doesn't just acknowledge your need, He meets it. He doesn't just recognize your cry, He responds to it. And His answer is always exactly what you need, even if it's not always exactly what you asked for. When you said, "Seek my face," my heart said to you, "Your face, Lord, I will seek." This is a beautiful exchange, a divine conversation, an intimate dialogue between God and His child. God initiates, He invites. He says, "Seek my face," not seek my hand, not seek my gifts, not seek what I can do for you, but seek my face, seek me, seek relationship with me, seek to know me, seek to be in my presence. And the response of the heart that has learned what matters most, the heart that has tasted the goodness of intimacy with God, is immediate and wholehearted. Your face, Lord, I will seek. Yes, I want more of you. Yes, I will pursue you. Yes, I will prioritize your presence above everything else. This is the heart attitude that unlocks everything. When you seek God's face, when you pursue Him for who He is rather than just for what He can give you, when you make knowing Him your primary goal, then all the other things you need, all the protection and provision and peace and guidance, all of it comes as a natural overflow of being in His presence. Do not hide your face from me. This is the cry of someone who has experienced God's presence and cannot imagine living without it. The greatest fear for someone who has tasted intimacy with God is not physical danger or material loss or even death itself. The greatest fear is that God might withdraw His presence, that He might hide His face, that the access to His nearness might be cut off. David is saying, I can handle anything, face anything, endure anything, as long as you don't hide your face from me. As long as I can still access your presence, as long as I can still come into your nearness, as long as I can still experience your fellowship, I'll be okay. But please don't hide from me. Don't withdraw from me. Don't turn your face away. And the beautiful promise of the new covenant is that God will never leave you nor forsake you, that He will be with you always, even to the end of the age, that nothing can separate you from His love, that His presence is not dependent on your performance, but on His promise, not on your worthiness, but on His covenant faithfulness. He will not hide His face from you. He will not turn away in anger. He will not reject you or abandon you or leave you to fend for yourself. His presence is your permanent inheritance as a child of God. Do not turn your servant away in anger. There are moments when we are acutely aware of our own failures, our own sins, our own unworthiness. Moments when we wonder if we've disappointed God so much that He's angry with us, frustrated with us, ready to give up on us. In those moments we cry out from a place of desperation, please don't turn me away. Please don't reject me because I've failed you again. Please don't let your anger keep me from your presence. And the answer that comes back is always the same. I will never leave you nor forsake you. My anger lasts for a moment, but my favor lasts for a lifetime. I discipline those I love, but I never reject them. Come to me, all who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. God's discipline is not the same as His rejection. His correction is not the same as His abandonment. Even when He is displeased with our behavior, He never stops loving us. Even when He has to deal with our sin, He never withdraws His presence from us. We are His servants, yes, but more than that, we are His children. And a good father never turns his child away, no matter how many times that child fails. O God of my salvation, do not leave me nor forsake me. This is a plea born from an understanding of complete dependence. God is not just a helper among many helpers, not just one resource among many resources. He is the God of my salvation, the source of my deliverance, the foundation of my hope, the reason I have any future at all. Without him, I have nothing. Without him, I am nothing. Without him, I am lost, hopeless, doomed. So please don't leave me. Don't forsake me. Don't withdraw your saving presence from my life. I need you not just for this moment, but for every moment. I need you not just for this battle, but for every battle. I need you not just for this night, but for every night. And the promise that comes in response to this desperate plea is one of the most comforting in all of Scripture. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Never. Not sometimes. Not conditionally. Not as long as you behave. Never. Under no circumstances. In no situation. For no reason. God has bound himself to you in covenant love, and he will not break that covenant. He will not abandon you. He will not leave you. He will not forsake you. You can count on his presence more than you can count on anything else in this world. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take care of me. This is a profound promise for anyone who has experienced abandonment, rejection, betrayal, or the pain of being left by those who should have loved them most. Even if the people closest to you, the ones who brought you into this world, the ones who are supposed to protect and nurture and cherish you, even if they forsake you, God will not. Even if every human relationship fails, even if everyone you trust lets you down, even if you end up completely alone with no one to turn to, God will take care of you. He will be the father you never had. He will provide the love you never received. He will give the acceptance you always longed for. He will be everything you needed from others, but never got. And his care is not inferior to human care. It is infinitely superior. He will never fail you the way humans have failed you. He will never reject you the way humans have rejected you. He will never abandon you the way humans have abandoned you. His love is perfect. His faithfulness is absolute. His care is complete. When everyone else walks away, he steps in. When everyone else gives up on you, he doubles down on his commitment to you. When everyone else sees you as too much trouble, too broken, too far gone, he sees you as worth dying for. Teach me your way, O Lord, and lead me in a smooth path because of my enemies. In the midst of danger and opposition, we need more than just protection. We need direction. We need to know which way to go, which path to take, which decisions to make. Without divine guidance, we might run right into the very traps we're trying to avoid. We might make choices that seem right, but actually lead us into more danger. We might trust people we shouldn't trust, or go places we shouldn't go. That's why we need God to teach us his way, to show us the path he has prepared for us, to lead us in a smooth path that avoids the ambushes the enemy has set. When God leads you, he doesn't take you through unnecessary hardship. He doesn't make things more difficult than they need to be. He smooths the path before you, removing obstacles, clearing away hindrances, making a way where there seemed to be no way. And he does this because of your enemies, knowing that they are watching for any opportunity to attack, any moment of vulnerability, any wrong turn that would put you in danger. So he guides you carefully, strategically, with perfect knowledge of where every trap is located and which path will keep you safest while still getting you to your destination. Do not deliver me to the will of my adversaries. This is a prayer of desperation, a cry for God's intervention when enemies are closing in and their intentions are evil. The adversaries want to harm you, destroy you, devour you, and they have a will, a plan, a strategy for how they intend to do it. But their will is not the final word. God's will is sovereign over their will. What they want to happen to you can only happen if God allows it. And when you pray this prayer, you are asking God not to hand you over to them, not to permit their plans to succeed, not to let their will be done. And God, out in his mercy and his power and his commitment to protect his own, hears this prayer and responds. He does not deliver you to their will. He does not permit their schemes to prosper. He does not allow them to have their way with you. Instead, he delivers you from them. He rescues you out of their hands. He causes their plans to fail and their plots to backfire. You belong to him, not to them. Your life is in his hands, not theirs. Your future is determined by his purposes, not their intentions. And he absolutely will not deliver you over to those who mean you harm. For false witnesses have risen against me, and such as breathe out violence. Sometimes the attacks against you are not just physical, but verbal, not just actions, but accusations. False witnesses rise up, people who lie about you, misrepresent you, spread rumors about you, assassinate your character, breathe out violence not with their fists, but with their words. And words can wound just as deeply as physical blows, sometimes even more deeply. The pain of being falsely accused, of having your reputation attacked, of being misunderstood and misrepresented, it cuts to the core. It makes you want to defend yourself, to fight back, to clear your name. But God says, "Be still. Let me fight this battle for you. Don't take matters into your own hands. Trust me to vindicate you, to expose the lies, to reveal the truth, to restore your reputation." It's hard to be still when you're being attacked. It's hard to trust when lies are being spread. It's hard to wait when you want justice now. But God's timing is perfect, and his vindication is complete. When he clears your name, when he exposes the false witnesses, when he brings truth to light, it will be more thorough and more effective than anything you could have accomplished on your own. So rest tonight knowing that even if lies have been spoken against you, even if false witnesses have risen up, even if violence is being breathed out in your direction, God is your defender, your advocate, your vindicator, and he will make all things right. I would have lost heart unless I had believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. This is one of the most honest and hope-filled statements in all of Scripture. David is saying, I would have given up, I would have quit, I would have despaired, I would have lost all hope, but I didn't. And the reason I didn't is because I believed something. I believed that God's goodness wasn't just a theological concept or a future promise for heaven. I believed I would actually experience his goodness here, now, in this life, in the land of the living. This belief, this expectation that God's goodness would manifest in tangible, visible, experiential ways before he died. This is what kept David going when everything else told him to quit. And the same is true for you tonight. If you lost all hope, if you stopped believing that things could get better, if you gave up on the idea that God's goodness would show up in your actual life, and not just in some distant heaven, you would lose heart. You would sink into despair, you would give up the fight, but you haven't lost heart because somewhere deep inside, you still believe, you still expect, you still hope that you will see God's goodness, that you will experience his favor, that you will witness his intervention, not just eventually or theoretically, but actually, really, here in this life. And that belief, that expectation, that hope is not misplaced. It is not wishful thinking. It is not naive optimism. It is faith in a God who is good, who delights in blessing his children, who loves to show up and show off on behalf of those who trust him. You will see his goodness. You will experience his favor. You will witness his intervention. Not just in heaven someday, but here, now, in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen your heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. This is the hardest instruction to follow when you're in trouble, when you're afraid, when you need help right now. Everything in you wants to do something, fix something. Make something happen. Waiting feels like wasting time, like being passive, like doing nothing while your situation gets worse. But waiting on the Lord is not passive. It's not doing nothing. It's actively trusting, deliberately choosing to let God work in his time and in his way, rather than forcing your own solutions. It's a posture of faith, a decision to believe that God's timing is perfect even when it doesn't align with yours, that his methods are best even when they don't make sense to you, that his plan will work out better than anything you could orchestrate on your own. And the promise attached to this instruction is that as you wait, as you maintain your trust, as you refuse to panic or force your own way, He will strengthen your heart. Not might strengthen, not could strengthen, but will strengthen. The act of waiting in faith actually produces strength in you. Your courage increases, your resolve deepens, your peace settles, your hope rises. The very thing you thought would make you weaker, the waiting, is actually what makes you stronger, because it's in the waiting that you learn to trust God at deeper levels, to know Him more intimately, to experience His faithfulness in ways you never would have if everything had happened on your timeline. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Now we transition into another profound psalm of protection, Psalm 91, which weaves together perfectly with everything we've already declared from Psalm 27. This is about dwelling, about making God's presence your permanent residence, about choosing to live in that intimate place of communion with Him where His glory resides and His power rests. The secret place is not a physical location, but a spiritual reality, a place of such closeness with God that you are hidden in Him, concealed by His presence, protected by His nearness. And those who dwell there, who make it their habit to abide in intimate relationship with God, they automatically come under the shadow of the Almighty. The shadow speaks of covering, of protection from the heat of the day, of relief from harsh elements, of being so close to God that His presence overshadows you like a giant tree providing shade on a scorching day. Under that shadow, you are safe from things that would otherwise harm you. The intensity of trials is diminished. The heat of spiritual warfare is reduced. The harsh realities of life are filtered through His protective presence, and the Almighty, El Shaddai, the All-Sufficient One, is the one casting this shadow, meaning there is no shortage of power or resources or capacity to protect you. He is more than enough, abundantly sufficient, completely capable of covering you no matter what you face. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. This is a personal declaration, not just a theological statement about who God is in general, but a bold claim about who He is to you specifically. He is my refuge, my personal place of safety when danger threatens. He is my fortress, my individual stronghold that cannot be breached. He is my God, not just the God of everyone, but mine, personally committed to me, individually invested in me, like specifically watching over me. And in Him I trust, not partially, not conditionally, not with reservations, but completely, absolutely, with my whole heart. This level of trust doesn't happen overnight. It's built through experience, through watching Him prove faithful again and again, through testing His promises and finding them true every single time. But once you reach the place where you can make this declaration with full confidence, where you can say without hesitation that God is your refuge, your fortress, your God, and you trust Him completely, you have found a peace that circumstances cannot shake, a security that threats cannot breach, a confidence that opposition cannot undermine. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. The fowler is a hunter of birds who sets traps and snares to catch them. The enemy of your soul operates the same way, setting traps along your path, creating snares designed to catch you, laying ambushes in places you don't expect. These traps might be temptations, deceptions, wrong relationships, bad decisions, subtle compromises, things that look harmless or even attractive on the surface, but are actually designed to entangle you, trap you, and ultimately destroy you. But God sees every trap. He knows where every snare is hidden, and He delivers you from them, sometimes by showing you where they are so you can avoid them, sometimes by disabling the trap before you get there, sometimes by rescuing you even after you've stepped into it. The perilous pestilence represents disease, plague, sickness, health crises that threaten your physical well-being. In a world full of viruses and bacteria and cancers and conditions that doctors can't explain or cure, this promise means everything. God can and will protect you from sickness that seeks to attack your body. Not that you'll never face any health challenges, but that perilous pestilence, the kind that could destroy you, will not succeed in its assignment against you, because God's protective power is greater than any disease. He shall cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you shall take refuge. This is such a tender image, like a mother bird gathering her young under her wings when danger approaches, protecting them with her own body, willing to take the blow herself rather than let it reach her babies. That's how God is with you. When threats come, when danger looms, when you're vulnerable and afraid, he gathers you close, he covers you with his presence, he shields you with his own self. Under his wings there is safety, security, warmth, comfort. Nothing can reach you there that doesn't first have to go through him, and very little gets past a God who is absolutely committed to protecting his own. You can hide there, you can rest there, you can feel small and vulnerable, and not have to pretend to be strong, because his strength is covering you. His power is protecting you. His presence is shielding you from everything that would seek to harm you. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. In a world full of lies, deception, manipulation, and confusion, truth is your defense, not your truth, not your perception, not your opinion, but his truth. Yeah, the objective reality of who God is and what he has said. When the enemy whispers lies into your mind, God's truth is the shield that deflects those lies. When accusations are hurled at you, God's truth is the buckler that protects you from their impact. His truth says you are forgiven even when guilt tries to condemn you. His truth says you are loved even when rejection tries to convince you otherwise. His truth says you are valuable even when shame tries to tell you you're worthless. His truth says you are protected even when fear tries to suggest you're in danger. His truth says you have a future even when discouragement tries to paint everything as hopeless. Stand behind the shield of his truth tonight. Let it protect you from every lie, every accusation, every deception, every false narrative that tries to lodge itself in your mind. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day. Night is when fear intensifies, when imagination runs wild, when every creak in the house sounds like an intruder, when worries magnify, when worst-case scenarios parade through your mind. But you don't have to be afraid of the terror by night. Not because terrifying things don't exist, not because night isn't actually the time when many bad things happen, but because you're protected by a God who never sleeps, whose eyes never close, who is watching over you with perfect vigilance through every hour of darkness. And you don't have to fear the arrow that flies by day, the attacks that come in broad daylight, the threats you can see coming, the dangers that are obvious and in the open. Whether the attack comes in secret or in plain sight, whether it strikes in darkness or in light, whether it's subtle or obvious, you're covered. Fear doesn't have to rule you. Terror doesn't have to control you. Anxiety doesn't have to dominate your thoughts. Because the one who protects you is greater than anything you could ever face. And his protection doesn't depend on the time of day or the nature of the threat, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. Some threats are invisible, hidden, silent. Pestilence that walks in darkness represents disease and danger that you cannot see, threats that operate in secret, attacks that come from directions you cannot monitor. But God sees what you cannot see. He knows what you do not know. He detects what is invisible to you. And his protection extends to those unseen threats just as much as to the visible ones. Destruction that lays waste at noonday is the opposite. The catastrophic events that happen suddenly when everything seems fine, disasters that strike without warning, calamities that occur at the most unexpected times. But whether the threat is hidden or obvious, whether it comes in darkness or at noon, whether it's something you can see or something you cannot, you are protected. God's covering is comprehensive. His defense is complete. His vigilance is constant. There is no time of day when he is not watching, no type of threat he has not anticipated, no attack he is not prepared to defend against. 1,000 may fall at your side and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. This is a promise of specific, individual protection, even in the midst of widespread calamity. When it seems like everyone around you is falling, when destruction is everywhere, when the numbers are staggering and the situation seems hopeless, you have the assurance that you are specifically protected, not because you're better than others, not because you deserve it more, but because you have made the Lord your refuge, because you dwell in his secret place, because you abide under his shadow. This doesn't mean you'll never face any difficulty or that you'll be completely untouched by the realities of living in a fallen world. But it does mean that the level of destruction happening all around you will not be your portion, that you will be supernaturally protected in ways that defy natural explanation, that you will look around and see devastation everywhere, yet somehow you remain standing, somehow you make it through, somehow you survive what statistically should have destroyed you. This is the testimony of countless believers who have lived through wars, plagues, disasters, and crises. They watched thousands fall. They witnessed destruction all around them, but somehow, inexplicably, they were spared. Not luck, not coincidence, divine protection, supernatural covering, the faithfulness of a God who watches over those who trust in him. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. You won't participate in the destruction that comes upon those who reject God's protection. You won't experience the judgment that falls on those who refuse his covering, but you will see it. You will witness the reality that choices have consequences, that there is a difference between those who trust in the Lord and those who don't, that God's justice is real and his protection matters. This is not about taking pleasure in the suffering of others. It's about understanding that God is sovereign, that righteousness is rewarded and wickedness is punished, that making God your refuge is not just a nice spiritual idea, but the most practical, life-preserving decision you could ever make. When you see the reward of the wicked, when you witness what happens to those who reject God's protection, it should increase your gratitude for his covering over your life and strengthen your resolve to continue dwelling in his secret place, because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place. No evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling. This is a conditional promise with a glorious guarantee. The condition is that you have made the Lord your dwelling place, that you have chosen to live in his presence, to abide in him continually, to make him your home. When that condition is met, when you genuinely dwell in God, the guarantee kicks in. No evil shall befall you. Not some evil, not most evil, no evil. Nothing ultimately destructive, nothing truly harmful, nothing with the power to separate you from God's love or derail his purposes for your life will succeed against you. And no plague, no sickness, no disease, no health crisis shall come near your dwelling, your home, your family, your household. There is a circle of protection around those who dwell in God, a boundary that plague and evil cannot cross, a hedge that the enemy cannot penetrate. Your home is a sanctuary. Your family is covered. Your household is protected, not because you're special in yourself, but because the God you dwell in is all-powerful, all-knowing, and absolutely committed to protecting his own. For he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. You are not alone. You are not unguarded. You are not left to defend yourself against spiritual forces that are far more powerful than you. God has assigned angels to you, mighty warriors who excel in strength, powerful beings who do his bidding, holy messengers who serve his purposes. They have been given a charge, a specific assignment, a divine mandate to watch over you, to guard you, to protect you in all your ways. Not some of your ways, Not just when you're doing everything right. All your ways, every path you walk, every decision you make, every place you go, angels are there, working on your behalf, fighting battles you don't even know are being fought, deflecting attacks you never see coming, creating opportunities you think are coincidental, orchestrating circumstances for your good. They are not optional helpers you can call on if you need extra assistance. They are assigned protectors who are constantly, continuously, faithfully watching over you because God commanded them to do so. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. The angels don't just watch from a distance, they actively intervene. They lift you up. They carry you through. They prevent you from stumbling when you're about to make a devastating mistake. They redirect your steps. When you're walking into danger, they close doors or create obstacles that force you onto a safer path. When you're under attack, they fight on your behalf. When you're weak and struggling, they strengthen and support you. They handle you carefully, treating you as the precious child of God that you are, ensuring that you don't suffer unnecessary harm, that you don't fall into traps, that you don't dash your foot against a stone. Every close call you've ever had, every time disaster was narrowly avoided, every moment when you should have been hurt but somehow weren't, chances are excellent that angelic intervention was at work, fulfilling God's command to keep you in all your ways. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. This is a promise of complete victory over every form of enemy, every type of threat. The lion represents visible, powerful, aggressive enemies that attack openly. The cobra represents hidden, poisonous, subtle enemies that strike from concealment. The young lion represents emerging threats, new dangers. The serpent represents ancient evil satanic forces. And the promise is that you will tread upon them all, trample them all underfoot, have complete victory over them all. Not because of your own strength, but because of the authority God has given you, because of the position you occupy in Christ, because of the power that works in you through the Holy Spirit. When you walk in your God-given authority, when you stand on His promises, when you exercise the dominion He has granted you, every enemy must bow, every threat must yield, every attack must fail. You are not a victim, you are not defenseless, you are not powerless. You are more than a conqueror through Christ who loved you. And that means you have authority over lions and cobras, over young lions and serpents, over every force of darkness that would seek to harm you. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. Now God Himself speaks, making promises directly to those who love Him. This is deeply personal. This is about relationship. This is about covenant love. When you set your love upon God, when you choose Him above all else, when you prioritize relationship with Him over everything the world offers, He responds with deliverance. Not might deliver, not will try to deliver, will deliver. Guaranteed, certain, absolute. Deliverance from every enemy, every trap, every danger, every scheme. You love Him, so He delivers you. It's that simple, it's that sure, it's that powerful. I will set Him on high because He has known my name. Knowing God's name is more than knowing what to call Him. It's knowing His character, His nature, His attributes. It's understanding who He is in such deep and personal ways that His name, which represents everything about Him, becomes the foundation of your life. When you know His name, when you truly know Him, He sets you on high. He elevates you above your circumstances. He positions you above your enemies. He lifts you up out of the pit. He places you in a position of safety, security, authority. Not because you've earned it, but because you know Him. And those who know Him are forever changed, forever protected, forever positioned in places of blessing. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. When you call on God, you're not sending prayers into a void hoping someone might be listening. You're calling on a God who has committed Himself to answer, who has promised to respond, who delights in the prayers of His children. He hears you, He listens, and He answers. Not always in the way you expect, not always on your timeline, but he answers. His response is always perfect, always exactly what you need, always better than what you asked for, even when it doesn't look like what you wanted. I will be with him in trouble. God doesn't just rescue you from trouble and then leave you to face the next battle alone. He is with you in the trouble. He enters into your difficulty. He walks through your trials with you. He ensures that you never face anything alone. When you're in the valley, he's in the valley with you. When you're in the fire, he's in the fire with you. When you're in the storm, he's in the storm with you. His presence in your trouble makes all the difference. What could destroy you without him becomes merely an inconvenience with him. What could crush you without his presence becomes a testimony of his faithfulness when he walks through it with you. I will deliver him and honor him. Not only does God rescue you from trouble, he honors you. He restores your reputation. He vindicates you before those who doubted. He shows the world that you belong to him and that he takes care of his own. The honor he gives is not empty recognition. It's meaningful acknowledgement of your faithfulness, your trust, your commitment to him. And it comes not from human sources that can be fickle and unreliable, but from God himself, whose honor lasts forever and whose approval is the only one that ultimately matters. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Satisfaction doesn't come from longevity alone, but from life well lived, purpose fulfilled, destiny accomplished. God promises not just a long life, but a satisfying one, a meaningful one, a life that when you look back on it, you can say, it was worth living. It made a difference. It mattered. And in that life, he shows you his salvation, his delivering power at work in real time, his redemption manifested in practical ways, his saving grace experienced not just as a future promise, but as a present reality that transforms your daily existence. Tonight, as you prepare to release yourself into sleep, I want you to understand something profound. You're not just closing your eyes and hoping for the best. You're not just surrendering to unconsciousness and trusting that nothing bad will happen. You're placing yourself under the protective covering of the God of the universe, the one who has promised to watch over you, to guard you, to keep you, to protect you through every hour of this night. Angels are taking their positions around your bed right now. The presence of God is settling over your room like a tangible blanket of peace. The blood of Jesus is covering you from head to toe, sealing every entry point, closing every door to the enemy, sanctifying you completely. You are safe. You are protected. You are loved. You are watched over by a God who never sleeps, never slumbers, never takes his eyes off you, never stops caring about every detail of your life. As sleep begins to overtake you, as your body starts to relax and your mind begins to slow, I want you to simply rest in the knowledge that everything is taken care of. You don't have to stay awake to make sure you're safe. You don't have to keep one eye open to watch for danger. You don't have to maintain vigilance through the night. God is doing all of that for you. He's watching while you sleep. He's protecting while you rest. He's working on your behalf while you surrender to the restoration your body needs. This is the gift of sleep that he gives his beloved. Not fitful tossing and turning, not anxious lying awake, not fearful vigilance, but deep, peaceful, restorative rest that comes from complete trust in a completely faithful God. Let go of every worry you've been holding, release every fear you've been carrying, surrender every concern you've been nursing, hand over every burden you've been bearing. Give God everything that's been weighing on your heart and trust him to handle it while you rest. He is more than capable. He is more than faithful. He is more than powerful. Whatever you're facing, whatever you're afraid of, whatever is threatening you, it is not bigger than he is. It is not stronger than he is. It is not beyond his capacity to handle. So rest, really rest. Let your body go limp. Let your muscles relax. Let your mind quiet. Let your spirit settle into the peace that passes understanding, the peace that guards your heart and mind in Christ Jesus. God is singing over you tonight. Can you hear it? In the quietness of this moment, in the stillness of this hour, the Creator of the universe is singing songs of love over you. Songs of protection, songs of promise. He delights in you. He rejoices over you. He takes pleasure in caring for you. You are not a burden to Him. You are not an interruption. You are not too needy, or too broken, or too much trouble. You are His beloved child, and there's nothing He would rather do than watch over you, protect you, provide for you, and pour His love into every area of your life. As you drift off to sleep, imagine yourself in the secret place of the Most High, that holy chamber where His presence dwells most intensely. See yourself hidden in His pavilion, concealed under His wings, set high upon the rock, surrounded by His feathers, covered by His truth. Nothing can reach you there. No evil can befall you there. No plague can come near you there. You are in the safest place in all of existence. You're held in the arms of a God who is both infinitely powerful and infinitely loving, both mighty enough to defeat any enemy and tender enough to gather you close, like a mother bird protecting her young. The terrors of this night have no power over you. The darkness holds no threat. The hours ahead contain only rest, restoration, and the ongoing work of a God who is orchestrating everything for your good. While you sleep, He will be solving problems you couldn't solve. While you rest, He will be opening doors you couldn't open. While you surrender, He will be fighting battles you couldn't fight. And when you wake in the morning, you will awaken to new mercies, fresh grace, renewed strength, and the continuing faithfulness of a God who has never failed anyone who put their trust in Him, and who is certainly not going to start with you. Sleep well, beloved child of God. Sleep deeply, sleep peacefully, sleep without fear, without anxiety, without worry. You are held, you are loved, you are protected, you are safe, and nothing, absolutely nothing, can change that. Good night. Rest in His perfect peace, and wake tomorrow to walk in victory, in courage, and in the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing you are a child of the Most High God, dwelling in His secret place, abiding under His shadow, protected by His promises, covered by His presence, and destined for the full manifestation of every good thing He has planned for your life. In Jesus' mighty name, amen.